Hi there, beautiful human. It's Rose Loxton, and we are up to month 8 of my best self journal. Why would you even journal about yourself? Because we are so deep, we are so complex, and there are things that are impacting and guiding our behavior that we're not aware of. It's kind of like who we really are is we're not really aware of that. And my best self journal is one way that we can do something each day or each week, even just a little journal prompt each week that helps us unlayer the onion that we are for the purpose of our best life and being our best self, because there's a lot that we have to navigate. There's a lot that we don't understand, and this journal that I wrote a little time ago now is all about something you can do for yourself at home. Also, I created an offshoot journal for facilitators, people who are space holders, circle holders, coaches, counselors, healers, people that hold space for other people, light workers. So you can use the facilitators journal to take a group of people through the journey of the beautiful unraveling of the prompts in my best self journal, which the prompts last a year. So it's a monthly, I would say you'd get together monthly, but each week there's a journal prompt, and it's another layer and another layer and another layer of the onion that we are. So the 8th month of the journal, you don't have to start in January. So I've kind of gone August or month 8. So if you start the journal halfway through the year, then month 1 is going to be whenever it is that you start. So you can use either the actual month, the name of the month, or just the number of the month that you start. So each month you have 4 journal prompts. You also have a doodle page so that you can just scribble, and some people need to do that to get inspiration or write little things down. But also the prompts, like week 1, you've got a question there, some space to journal, and then there's a follow-up question, which is a little bit like, how do I apply and ground the insights that I get from answering this question up here. So in month 8 or August, whichever way you're doing this, always at the beginning of the month, I ask you to tap back into what are your grandest intentions for your best self journal journey. It's a 1-year journey, and seriously, we're such layered onions that it's a lifetime work, really unraveling some of our behaviors, some of our stories, some of our triggers, some of our isms and tendencies and fears and unconscious responses to the world. So month 8, tap back into what are your grandest intentions for doing this journal. So right at the beginning of the journal, I've asked you to just fill out a journal prompt, which is, what would you like to achieve? Like what might your best self look like? What do you want to let go of? What do you not want to bring forward with you into the future of where your best self is? Your best self is always here, but sometimes it can take an unraveling for us to really unleash and unwrap and reveal and expose all of our potentials. We've got all sorts of ways of not noticing those and not tapping into those, and we've been conditioned into responding to life in certain ways, and it might not really be the way that we've been conditioned to respond to life. Big chances are it's not how your natural blueprint is designed to respond to life. And I would recommend you popping in, going onto the internet, go onto my website, rosalynloxton.com.au, and do your free human design chart, because that is one of the really cool ways that we can find out, what your special way of responding to life is, that might not be the way that your parents brought you up to respond, or that your education system brought you up to respond. So I'd love to chat more about that, but I will stick to month 8 or August, whichever way it is for you. So I'm going to start with a story. An old man told his grandson, My son, there is an endless battle that goes on inside us all. It's between two wolves. One wolf attacks me. It is anger, it is envy, regret, greed, arrogance, resentment, lies, superiority, jealousy, ego. The other wolf protects me. It is joy, peace, love, hope, serenity, humility, kindness, empathy, generosity, truth, compassion, faith, peace. The grandson thought about it, and then he asked his grandfather, which wolf will win? And the old man answered, it's the one you feed. I really, really love that story. The wolf we feed, and we unconsciously feed our wolves. And this whole My Best Self journal is about being conscious about which wolf we feed. The unexpected power of a story. Your stories, your inner narrative, they're herding your sheep. Okay, the stories you tell yourself consciously and unconsciously, they're like those sheepdogs that round up the sheep. That's what your stories are doing. They're rounding up your sheep. Your sheep are all of your innate potentials that are unique to you. So those unique potentials aren't just coming out because they're there. Those unique potentials are being dictated to by the stories that you're accidentally and deliberately telling yourself. Where do these sheep, right? Where do these stories round up your potentials? Wherever they land, that's your outcomes. That the paddock that all the sheep land in, that's your outcomes. That's what you end up with in life. This is about taking full responsibility for where we end up. And I know that's a really controversial subject. And we can go into that at another time, or you can DM me about, some people are in a life that they didn't choose. And that is a subject absolutely worth honoring. And in the spirit of your life and where you are now, there's a huge big chunk of our tendency and our conditioned tendency, and what we've had modeled to us, to blame so much of what happens in our life on things that are outside of ourselves. And this process in this month is about going, how can I call back my power instead of outsourcing it to other people and going, I can't do this because that person said that, or I can't feel this because that person acted this way, and so I'm not going to feel this now. And it's just all this outsourced potential of your own to be and to feel what your full potentials are, but you don't let yourself. Accidentally you go, oh, that person has to act like this before I can be safe or before I can be happy. And that is fully outsourcing. That's fully abandoning your own post. Okay, I talk about having a throne that we need to sit in, and often if we're not sitting in our throne and being our queen or being our king and really having full ownership of our kingdom, sometimes we get up off the throne and we start rummaging around in our kingdom, and something else sits in the throne and starts dictating the kingdom, all unconsciously. Your stories. So this month, consider and reflect and journal on the stories that you narrate in your own mind, consciously and unconsciously. It's pretty hard to think about the stories that you're telling and holding and believing unconsciously, but this process is just asking you to consider, I wonder what they are. I wonder what stories I'm telling myself that doesn't flame the, doesn't blow a wind on a flame that could get higher and the flame being your passions. So what stories actually suffocate those flames and those potentials? What stories don't let those flames come to their full and to fully exist so that you can have your full experience as a human and the human that you are here to be? So this month, consider and reflect and journal on the stories that you narrate in your own mind. They may be stories that you are carrying forward from the past or from your conditioning, things that just always have been that you've never questioned. They may be stories that feel really true to you, but when you do look at them, when you do question them, when you do ponder them, they start to become less true or even untrue. This month, notice some stories. Even notice where some stories might be. You might go, why do I always feel like this? Or why does that seem to always happen to me? I wonder what story is affecting or creating or manifesting that outcome. This month, notice the stories that are out of alignment with your very best self. And remember, your very best self is somebody that you described in the beginning of this journal, in the first pages of this journal. It's like really contemplate and reflect on what your best self might look like, what they care about, what they do with their day, what they don't do with their day, where they spend their energy and where they don't spend their energy, all of those things. This isn't about judging yourself or making yourself shamed about not being good enough. It's about loving yourself and spending time with this deep self-consideration to go, there's something burbling inside of me that I need to shine a light on. I need to turn inward and look at. I need to honor. I need to nurture and exercise and express. And that is my truth, because too many of us don't live our truth. We live a conditioned set of stories that really inhibit what our potential is. It's almost like being a rosebud and just constantly, sort of cutting off the bud and not allowing it to bloom. So I really encourage you to enjoy and dig deep and really take yourself out to the beach or put some nice meditative music on, or really capture that one-on self time to really sit with the questions in month 8. So week 1, the first journal prompt is week 1 of month 8 or August if you started in January. So week 1, this week, circle back to your stories, to your inner narrative, which are like those Kelpie cattle dogs that are cleverly herding all the sheep being all of your innate, unique potentials. The stories are rounding up your potentials and forcing them to go somewhere or forcing them to not go somewhere. And whatever direction these stories herd your potentials into, they create your outcomes. What stories or inner narratives can you notice that you tell when it comes to you feeling like you're enough? You're enough. You're enough. You're enough to be loved. You're enough to fully shine your full potential. You're enough to speak what feels like your truth, which is different to, speaking your truth is another whole subject, because people feel like I'm just speaking my truth, but they're actually, perhaps they are speaking their truth, but they don't realize that their truth is coming from wound, coming from an unevolved story, So we want you to get to your real heart's truth and speak that to yourself. And so that when you speak that to yourself, it's what emanates into the world. And therefore, that's who you attract. It's who you don't attract. It will have an impact on who reaches out to you and says, hey, would you consider doing this? And who doesn't reach out to you. So the inner stories you tell yourself really reflect out and impact how the rest of the world responds back to you. So week 1, that's the first journal prompt. So you'd fill that out up the top there. And then there's this follow-up question, which is about embodying that learning that you get, really bedding in and not just getting a learning and forgetting about it, but helping it to become a part of your DNA, you know? So what story or inner narrative about being enough would I need to be running in order to fully embody and to fully operate from my unique full purpose, my unique best self? What stories and inner narratives would I need to be running in order to let myself be that full, pure, unlimited, unapologetic, self-loving, unique person? So really enjoy that journal prompt. You're always free to DM me or to put a post, a response or a question, whatever you need to, share your journey with this journal. Until next week, I wish you all the best with that journal prompt, and I will see you in the next week where you will the next journal prompt will unlayer another piece of the beautiful onion that you are. Until then, awesome human, take big care. I send you big love and big encouragement for your very best life. Bye for now.